and logistics to enable them operate efficiently. And in international news, United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says given scale and geographic breadth of Blaschur, security requirements exceed capabilities of nearly 6,000 African and 2,000 French forces in the Central African Republic. Well, the details now. The remains of Komla Dumont was Friday morning moved from the family home at Hacho in the East Municipality of the Greater Accra region to the Holy Spirit Cathedral, where the Requiem Mass was later held. Komla Afeka Dumont was a Ghanaian journalist who worked for the BBC World News and was the main presenter of its program Focus on Africa. Dumont was born in Accra, Ghana. His father, Professor Ernest Dumont, was a professor of sociology, and his mother, Cecilia Dumont, had a master's degree in mass communication. Philip Beho, his grandfather, was the composer of Ghana's national anthem. Komla Dumont initially studied preclinical medicine at the University of Jos, Nigeria, but left for his home country, where he started as a medical student at the University of Ghana, but later graduated with a BA in sociology and psychology, and later graduated from Harvard University with an MA in public administration. Dumont started as the morning show host for Joy FM in Accra, Ghana, and was the 2003 winner of the Journalist of the Year award given by the Ghana Journalists Association. In 2006, Dumont joined the BBC African service in London as host of the radio program Network Africa. From 2008 to 2012, he presented The World Today on the BBC World Service. In 2011, however, Dumont began presenting the World News and Africa Business Report on BBC World News Television. When the latter was relaunched in 2013, fellow BBC correspondent Lerato Mbele was chosen as the host. And Archbishop Gabriel Charles Palmer Bako, Metropolitan Archbishop of the Catholic Archdiocese of Accra, who delivered the sermon, urged family members to always remember to rely on God, who knows best. Well, we apologize for the loss of sound there. We'll go back to the Holy Spirit Cathedral and get to wrap up proceedings there. Let's take the story first. Now, government has agreed to proposals to name a street after former Joy FM presenter Komla Afeke Dumor. The Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu, announced Thursday that government has directed the Ketu South District Assembly, where Komla Dumor hailed from, to choose a street for that purpose.
The MP, who is also the Minister of Trade and Industry, was speaking in Parliament on Thursday, where MPs spent time to eulogize Komla Dumor, a former host of Joy FM's flagship program, Super Morning Show.
Mr. Speaker, let me, in joining this tribute to eulogize Komla, confirm that government had decided that the Ketu Municipal Assembly will name a street after Komla Dumor to Ketu Municipal Assembly, working in tandem with our Minister for Local Government, will identify as part of government initiative on the national Ketu South District Assembly, will work with the Minister for Local Government in identifying and naming a street after the late Komla Dumor.
The Member of Parliament for Domi-Kwabenya, Adwo Asafo, also requested that the street that leads to the residence of the boss player at Hacho should also be named after him.
The representative of the people of Domi-Kwabenya, and since we still have his family home in the constituency, I would want to make a humble appeal to the Minister for Local Government that in this current project of the street naming project, he should at least consider putting Komla Afeke Dumor's name on the road that leads to his family house.
Earlier on, the Member of Parliament for Ketu South, Fifi Kwete, read a tribute on the floor.
Komla, like his grandfather, Philip Beho, was a true Ghanaian and a passionate African. He had such an infectious enthusiasm for his continent, for the story of Africa. His colleagues at BBC attest that Komla played a singular role in transforming the coverage of Africa, not only for the BBC, but across broadcasting in general. Africa's energy and enthusiasm shone through every story Komla told. Nelson Mandela's daughter aptly described Komla as a shining star of Africa, a beacon of Africa's warmth and sunshine, a quintessential African. Mr. Speaker, Komla Dumor continues to be a great mentor and an inspiration to all young people in Ghana and Africa. Even though he left us at the prime age of 41, he has left behind a legacy worthy of inspiration and emulation. His successes and achievements, far from being limited to himself, should be viewed as the potencies dormant in all our youth, capacities our young people can harness in our quest to bring a transformation to our dear country and continent.
The leadership also recounted their fondest memories of the late Komla Dumor.
If there is anybody whose transition could aptly be described as gone too soon, Komla Dumor's visit is one that fits that epitaph.
The last time I met him was when he was last in Ghana. And I asked him why he didn't stay at Bush House and chose to move. And the joke he cracked was that the bushes were too high in Bush House. And that is very typical of Komla Dumor as I've known him.
A 1-minute silence was observed for the late journalist. He was survived by a wife and 3 children.
Well, welcome. My name is Stephen Enti, and this is Joy News Today. We're crossing over to the Holy Spirit Cathedral there on phone to speak to Smart Ni Akrofiabe, who is standing by. Smart, if you can hear me, walk us through today's proceedings, and you as a journalist who is from an institution Komla worked with previously, how you feel about all of this.
Oh, well, Steve, it's been, for me, I've tried to treat it as just another day at work. At least by treating it as such, the emotional bit doesn't get to you that much. At least most of my colleague journalists I've spoken to, yes, everybody's busy at work, so we really haven't had time for reality to sink in. But it's been a busy day for us as a journalist, for me personally, and the day has gone rather quite well and smoothly because everything was on plan as they had intended to. For instance, we're expecting that the body of Komla would arrive at the church for the first part of the ceremony to begin at 8. He arrived before 8 o'clock, so he actually got to start before 8 o'clock. So there was actually more time for a public viewing before the main welcome march started at 9, and that ended at just about 11:30. So things have been quite well and smooth for us here.
Right, so Smart, I saw you speak with Dr. Audrey Gadzekpo and Ambassador Cabral Blay Amihia. What was striking about what they told you?
Well, one thing that ran through what they all said was the fact that Komla was a consummate professional, someone who knew what he was about, someone who was committed to what he was doing, and it is one message that runs not only what Professor Audrey Gadzekpo or Ambassador Cabral Blay Amihia said, but almost everyone that I've spoken to before the service started, during the service, and even after the service. It looks like that is one of the outstanding features of Komla that everybody admired about him, and that everybody wishes that at least for us as journalists, we'll be able to learn from that. I spoke to the GGA president, Dr. Mohamed, and he was also speaking about, he was actually bemoaning the fact that most of the journalists today lack objectivity, and that is one thing he believes is affecting our practice as journalists in the country today. And he hopes that journalists will learn from Komla his manner, the manner in which he's able to be objective, irrespective of whatever issue he was dealing with.
I know. I remember that you and I were at the airport on the day that the body arrived by the British Airways flight, and we kept saying that if there was any doubt in the minds of people that indeed he has passed on, this was it. But there are still many people who have not come to terms with the fact that indeed Komla Dumor is gone. Did you get that sense today that people finally were coming to the realization that, yes, indeed, it's time to say goodbye?
Exactly so. Of course, with an open casket in the middle of a church hall and with Komla in that casket, of course, once you've filed past it, there's no way that you can still be in denial that Komla has indeed passed on. And personally, I haven't filed past this body yet. Of course, it's because I'm working, so I'm hoping to do that probably with the public or before the public viewing starts in a couple of minutes. But for most, even the journalists who were still wishing and hoping that it was not true, reality has finally kicked in. So everybody is coming to terms gradually that yes, indeed, Komla is no more, and so everybody is just kind of reflecting or trying to remember what they know about Komla, what they liked about him, and trying to find out how best they can take those pointers from Komla's life and use it in their own personal lives to help them shape their profession, their trade, or their calling, or whatever they turn to, whichever endeavor they find themselves in.
Smart, I also saw in one of your shots, the U.S. Ambassador Kretz, and Information Officer Jean Clark, and other important people who were captured. Are there other people? I saw former President Rawlings as well. I haven't spotted former President Kufuor. Are there people we couldn't catch on shot whom you spotted?
Those you mentioned, of course, like a few MPs who came through. I saw Isaac Osei. I've seen the MPP Michael Quay Jr. I've seen the MPP Perry Okujeto, and then a few other politicians as well, some whose names I can't readily recollect. Of course, I've seen Randy Abbey. Dr. Farijan himself was here. I saw Mr. Bombandi from ONEP. I saw Dr. Akwete from IDED. Just off the top of my head, these are some of the prominent people who were around that I spotted. I
Right.
don't know if you saw them as well.
Right. So we also know by the program that we were giving that the body will be laid in state again for public viewing around 1 p.m. Can you tell us now what preparations you are observing ahead of the 1 p.m. laying in state?
Okay, it looks like the 1 p.m. laying in state has actually even started before the 1 p.m. I just peeked into the church hall, and I've seen that people have started filing past already. So I presume then that it starts even before the 1 p.m. time. And really no ceremonies have been conducted as far as I can see before the people started filing past. So I guess probably this one will just go as it is. And there's a program, there's a part 4 in which we'll see Komla's body return to the family house before, of course, he comes back for public viewing again tomorrow before the burial.
Right, so let's confirm from you, the body will be laid inside the chapel at 1 p.m., right, for public viewing?
For now, the body is still inside the chapel, and members of the public have already started filing past. Initially, information I gathered was that there was a pavilion of sorts outside where they were going to put, where Komla would be laid in state for the public to file past. But we've ended the service, and I'm not seeing any arrangements to move anything out yet. And with some people already filing past the body, I take it that it will now be inside the chapel and no longer outside at the pavilion as we were told initially.
Right, and Smart, are you able to give us an idea of the human or vehicular traffic in and around the Holy Spirit Cathedral area?
Okay, from I'm standing right in front of the chapel, but if I look out to the street, I don't see that much traffic. Traffic is quite fluid, yes, just as it was in the morning.
Right, Smart Nia Krofiabe is a reporter, a senior reporter here at Multi TV Joy News, and we were speaking to him there. He is located, stationed at the Holy Spirit Cathedral, where the Requiem Mass for the late Komla Dumor has just ended, and there are preparations underway for the body to be laid in state for public viewing. And we have another reporter, another of our reporters, Emmanuel Ante, who is also there at the Holy Spirit Cathedral. He's joining us by phone. So, Emmanuel, if you can hear me, I know you've been there all day and you must have seen quite a lot. What outstanding images are coming up in your mind when you look back to the morning since you got there and today after the Requiem Mass?
Well, Steve, I would say it's all solemn. It's a solemn ceremony. Hello, Steve?
Yeah, I can hear you, Emmanuel.
Oh, okay. It's a solemn ceremony, and I can tell you, it's all emotional here. Everyone here you see is almost, I mean, as if the person belongs to the family. Everybody is so, and the whole ceremony is so fake-like. If I should put it that way. Everybody is so much involved, and everybody is showing concern. Everybody is so touched by the presence of the people. The number of people that are present here is so overwhelming and so appreciated. I think everybody sees it's a solemn ceremony. That's the word I can use for it.
And as you go round and observe this solemnness in the faces of people, I want to focus on journalists who are covering the event, considering that this is one of our own. What have you seen? I mean, what kinds of moods are these journalists exuding?
Well, I can tell you that almost every media house in Ghana here and even in Africa, most parts of Africa are here. Everybody's trying to fish out information as to get what is really or what people are feeling. The feeling, the vibes I'm getting from a lot of people is that they still are really, they've not come to terms with the fact that Komla is gone. And they have been asking questions. Most of the questions they've been asking is the vacuum Komla is leaving. They are wondering whether there is someone in this short period that can fit into that. some of the people I spoke to, some of the journalists I spoke to, and the student journalists at that, are all saying that they believe that the BBC has lost a lot, Africa has lost a lot, but Ghana has lost the most because the shoes Kobla has left, and cannot be compared. They say, saying that as an anchor, a good anchor comes once in a long while, and a good reporter comes once in a long while. That is the hallmark they are saying. That is what they are saying, that Komla is one in a million of the good journalists that the country has ever produced in Africa as a whole. And so they believe we have lost a lot. And they are also concentrating on the fact that it was stress-induced. His demise was stress-induced. That's what they are saying. And so they are asking questions as to how journalists can be able to go through the stress that they face in their various occupations, right, and yet provide the good results that everybody is seeking for.
Right, and Emmanuel, quickly, I know that you all spoken to quite a number of people. Smart has, Curtis has, Yah has. Who have you been speaking to, and what have they been telling you?
Well, I spoke to Elizabeth Ohene. I spoke to the former DIG president, D.C. Afenidaji. I spoke to the director of the BBC World Service, and it seems everybody, the common language that cuts across is the vacuum. Everybody seems to be talking about the impact Komla had on Africans, on the world at large. The fact that he took Africa to the doorstep of the world, that he painted Africa in a picture that a lot more journalists, or a lot of the journalists Africa has produced, has never been able to. He has brought Africa to the limelight, and so they believe that his demise is going to be missed very dearly. And they are also advising the youth, especially we, the media, those in the media business, to rather take care of themselves. You work and get yourself involved in your work and do your work professionally. Get all the attachment or the emotions into your work, but be careful of your health. That's the common language that they are all saying.
Right. Thank you very much. Emmanuel Ante is a Joe News reporter there at the Holy Spirit Cathedral. He's there with a crew, an entire team from the multimedia group, which is there covering the Requiem Mass, which has ended. And then subsequently, we are waiting till 1 p.m. for the body to be laid in state for public viewing. We're bringing you all this live. And if you're logged on to the internet, you can watch us streaming live at majoronline.com, and then you click on the portion, Watch Live TV. My name is Stephen N.T. and this is Joe News Today. We'll be right back with more. My name is Stephen N.T. and welcome back to Joe News Today. To other stories, Action Aid Ghana, with support from the Canadian High Commission, has introduced a Girls Not Bride project aimed at halting the practice of early marriage in some districts of the Upper West region. The project is to give opportunity to girls who've been victims to get back to school. Our correspondent, Rafiq Salam, reports.
The man came to my house and said that I should come. She will send me. I went there. The man sent me. One day, my mother said that I should go to that man. Then she asked her to bring yams, so I should go and bring it. I went there. The man closed the door and said that today she will rape me. I said no, she cannot rape me. That she will rape me. That day I was in my period. The man forced me and raped me. I was pregnant, but I gave birth.
Forced marriage or bride capture is a cultural practice in some districts of the Upper West region. Per the practice, a man has the right to capture a teenage girl without her consent to become his wife. He later sends delegation to inform the girl's family of his intentions to bring the dowry for marriage. The capture of these girls usually takes place at the markets or when the girl is on her way to or from school. The family of the captured girl has no right to protest their capture, as the practice usually happens among communities. Victims of this cultural practice in the 3 districts, namely Sisala East, Lambushi, Kani and Jirapa, numbering 120, were brought together by Action Aid Ghana with support from the Canadian High Commission for counseling to help put their lives back on track, especially after they have given birth at a tender age. George Derry is the Upper West Programs Director of Action Aid. The Action Aid Ghana Programs Director also raised some concerns about the practice.
Trying to unearth the causes, and I think we did a research and it revealed that poverty, cultural practices, and then social pressure are all responsible for the practice. So we are engaging the traditional House of Chiefs. We are engaging the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs. Once it's a cultural practice, it falls within their domain, and as custodians of culture, we believe that if they step their foot and make certain pronouncements, certain public pronouncements to that effect, then we can fight it and eliminate it completely from our communities.
A councillor at the Canadian High Commission, Deidre Kelly, threw more light on why the Canadian government is interested in the project.
Had really good support from not only the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but from the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. They're very active on this issue in terms of identifying what the challenges are. Why isn't the legislation working? What are the challenges with implementation? And they have participated on a working group that consists of different countries to try to see how the situation is different in each of the countries where it exists and how they need to tackle it. So again, we see it as a human rights abuse. And we're interested in terms of eliminating the human rights abuse that exists.
Rafiq Salam's report from Wa in the Upper West region.
And members of the Spoken Word Church are reported to have been living in the bush at Oyibi near Accra for the past 3 years. According to them, they were motivated by the current economic hardship and their biblical doctrines to live in the bush for the rest of their lives. Matilda Pomega visited the area and has come through with this report.
Living here for the past 19 months, members of the Spoken Word Church say life here is heavenly and peaceful. We will be finding out from them what exactly motivated them to move to this area.
Located behind Cass Estate in Oyibi, it took the news team some hard time locating the area. After a long walk in the bush, we entered the camp through a wooden gate. The camp looked isolated, quiet and deserted. We came across Daniel Neville, leader of the camp, who explained to us their reason for making a home in the bush. Many of the members of his church, he says, were university graduates and professionals who had all quit their jobs and are now into mushroom cultivation.
This is a church that started around 2007. You understand? So we are not just, we've been together for long. When a group of believers together, we've been going to church together for long, and before the idea came that we are about 37. Yeah, about 37 people. Those who have wives are living with their wives here, and those who don't have wives are living on their own. And that we came together for both economic and social and biblical reasons.
Although many of the campers had left to the neighboring community to trade, the leader of the camp says access to water and food was no big deal, with the exception of electricity, which he says will soon be connected.
I think that we are even in a better position to face the economic crisis in Ghana than people who are even in town. Our expenses is down. I'm here, I don't pay electricity bill. I'm here, I don't pay rent. I pay rent, but not us in town, you see. And other activities, I don't know, many of them, you see, our expenses is down. You see, our expenses are down, you see. So we stand in a better position to face the economic situation in Ghana than even people who are in town.
Even though Daniel claims the kids in the camp get education, we wondered how they could provide the children with any proper education in the bush. Haiti Day, 32-year-old graduate from the University of Ghana and a member of the church, teaches children in the camp.
Before I came here, I was teaching.
Okay.
Where? I told you at Ghana Institute of Languages here.
Okay.
I have a mushroom tent and I have about 50 mushrooms.
Good. So how are you coping with things here?
It's normal. Everything is normal. I have a place to sleep. We have water supply, food supply. There's nothing. There's no problem. Thinking about the rent and all. Sometimes in what do you call it? In the city, it's quite, paying rent and all those things.
It's quite to the city as Sodom?
No pollution, air pollution and noise pollution. I mean, I don't know what to say. Maybe you have to experience it, then you would know yourself. But I would say that I'm more relaxed here.
Other members of the church shared their experience living in the camp. 10-year-old Broy Ongrin, the only pupil in class 5, is aspiring to be a mushroom farmer. Interestingly, he has reasons for preferring the camp to the town.
Yeah, it's just a cool area. I feel good.
How does that make you feel good?
Because in the town, if you are in school, you will not do something and then they put it on you that you are the one who did it. And then sometimes you do it like people talk too much in the class and make too much noise.
Wow.
So I feel happier now, so.
Why?
Members of the Spoken Word Church say addressing several misconceptions about them from family members and friends has been their only challenge. They are hoping to develop the community into a modern one in some years to come.
My name is Stephen Anti and this is Joy News Today. I must say that the body of the late Komla Dumoh is lying in state, will be lying in state today at the Holy Spirit Cathedral from 1 p.m. For public viewing. He will also be laid in state at the State House tomorrow, but tomorrow's laying in state is for VIPs. The emphasis is that tomorrow's laying in state is for VIPs. So wherever you are, if you want to catch a glimpse and far past the body from 1 p.m., you can do that as a member of the public. Tomorrow is for VIPs. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. In business, Unilever Ghana Limited has marked the Golden Jubilee celebration of one of its historical products, Key Soap. The first ever product to have come out of the then Lever Brothers factory in 1963 is said to have been one of the products that have lifted the banner of the company.
The first ever product to have come out of the then Lever Brothers factory in 1963 is Key Soap. Before then, the product had gained popularity with the Ghanaian consumer from the days when United Africa Company was importing Key Soap from Port Sunlight in the UK.
The brand has over the years consistently demonstrated its leadership in the fabric cleaning bars category with relevant innovations and exciting consumer activations, all designed to meet the needs of its valued consumers.
For almost half a century, the multi-purpose Key Soap has not only struck a bond with its users, but has given comfort to consumers, especially homemakers. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Haruna Idrisu, charged Ghanaians to buy made-in-Ghana goods.
Let me indicate that the recent announcement by the Bank of Ghana on the policy of de-dollarization, arguably, I understand that many of you industrialists have been affected by that directive. But let me assure Unilever and many multinationals that you should have no difficulty settling external obligations with your external partners in foreign currency. This is a matter for which you can seek clarification from the Bank of Ghana. The policy, which is not reversible, is the policy of de-dollarization of the Ghanaian economy, to which government requires the support of every Ghanaian in stating emphatically that you can do business in Ghana, but do it in our known currency of the city as the medium of exchange and not a store of value.
Key Soap has offered freshness wherever it has been used. It has cleaned many clothes, washed many dishes, kept many floors clean and hygienic. since the 1950s and continues to do other chores in many homes and institutions. The company also took the opportunity to outdoor the new brand of the historical product. Justice Forsins reports for Joy News, Accra.
Officials of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority at the Tema Port are calling for the deployment of more officers and logistics to enable them operate efficiently. They contend the 651 officers currently working there are not enough to effectively manage the 132 warehouses at the Tema Port.
We can do with about 50, 60 more, because we have about 132 warehouses, and ideally every warehouse should have an officer, and we have about 80 free zones. Ideally and we don't have that one. Now an officer takes care of maybe 8 or 9 warehouses, which is not the best, because while she's working here, the other people might call him from another warehouse and that sort of thing. We have serious challenge with personnel. Then the tools to work with. If they have this 132 warehouses, and we have only few vehicles that you have to go up and down with. Because if you have to, in a day, if I have to do declaration of 5 40-footer containers, it's a tedious work. And I want to do effective 100% examination. It's quite hectic. And just like Parks and Gardens stays their budget to finance and they cut it, that's how we also take our budget and they'll cut it according to the money available in Ghana.
And Google has unveiled a prototype smartphone with customized hardware and software that enables it to create 3D maps of users' surroundings. The device's sensors allows it to make 250,000 3D measurements every second and update its position in real time. Google said potential applications may include indoor mapping, helping the visually impaired navigate unfamiliar indoor places, unassisted, and gaming. It has offered 200 prototypes to developers keen to make apps for it. Google says its Advanced Technology and Projects ATAP unit developed the phone as part of a project called Project Tango with help from researchers at various institutions. We'll take a break and we'll be right back with sports. Don't go away. In sports, Inter Milan president Eric Sohil says they are very close to completing a deal to sign Manchester United's captain Nemanja Vidic. The ex-Serbian defender, 32, becomes a free agent at the end of the season, with the Italian club keen to sign him. Vidic, who had been at Manchester United since 2006 after a £7 million move from Spartak Moscow, confirmed earlier this month he would be playing abroad once his contract with United expires this summer. He said on 7th February he has decided that he will move on at the end of this season. Vidic said he wants to challenge himself again and try to make the best of myself in the coming years, unquote. And Barcelona have been formally accused of a €9.1 tax fraud in connection with the signing of Neymar. A judge in Spain has ruled there is sufficient evidence against Barcelona to continue investigations into the Brazilian's move from Santos in June. Barca paid £48.6 million for Neymar, 22, with his parents receiving £34 million of the fee. There has been no formal charge, and Barcelona said their dealings over the transfer were at all times legal in light of the information available. Last month, Sandro Rosell resigned as Barcelona president following accusations he misappropriated money. He's also being investigated but denies any wrongdoing. And Dani Osvaldo scored his first goal for Juventus as the Serie A leaders won 2-0 in the first leg of their Europa League last 32 clash with Trabzonspor. Paul Pogba added a crisp second half injury time to increase the hostess lead and put them in control of the tie ahead of the second leg in February 27th. That's all for sports, brought to you by Cowbell and Tigo. And in international news, Ukraine's president says he has reached a deal with the opposition to end the crisis after all-night talks mediated by EU foreign ministers. Viktor Yanukovych's website said the deal will be signed later, but the opposition has not confirmed the claim. Protesters and police are still locked in a standoff in Kiev, a day after dozens were killed in violent clashes there. On Thursday, EU foreign ministers said in a statement sanctions would be put on some officials over the violence. The US has warned Kiev that it would follow suit. And new research shows that after 10 years of intensified campaigns against malaria, 184 million people in Africa still live in moderate to high-risk areas. While the number is high, it's down nearly 220 million in the year 2000 when anti-malaria efforts began to increase. The findings are based on thousands of community-based surveys in 44 African countries and territories. Globally, 627,000 people die from malaria each year, mostly in Africa. And United Nations General Secretary Ban Ki-moon called Thursday for an additional 3,000 troops and police for the Central African Republic, where sectarian violence has continued unabated. The Secretary General said, given the scale and geographic breadth of the bloodshed, the security requirements exceed the capacities of the nearly 6,000 African and 2,000 French forces on the ground.
Above all, we are doing our utmost to contain the violence and get the country back on track. This crisis is a test for the people of the Central African Republic above all. But it also has implications beyond its borders, both in terms of regional security and as a matter of upholding universal values. The situation is deteriorating rapidly, and we must act. That is why I'm emphasizing time is of essence, and we must deploy rapid forces, police and soldiers.
And in showbiz, multiple award-winning Ghanaian rapper Sarkodie has finally spoken out about rumors of an amorous relationship between himself and colleague Afropop singer Efya. A rather surprised Sarkodie says he had no idea a romantic link had been drawn between himself and the songstress.
Rumors about flings between celebrities is nothing new. For some time now, there have been suggestions that Ghana's fastest rapper Sarkodie and the Afropop sensation Efya both musicians have denied there is any romance ongoing between them. Just to be sure, Showbiz posed the question again when we caught up with Sarkodie at the Cupid party organized by colleague musician Raquel. He was rather surprised at the question.
No. We've never even dated before, but it was nice for a second for people to feel that way. It was a good feeling in a way, just play with people and all. If Efya barely sees me, that's the messed up part. She doesn't even see me on a normal day, unless we are about to record. But I like the fact, I like her in general. She's a very nice person. I don't know if you know Efya, she's a free-hearted human being. You don't have to think twice when you're working with Efya. So I like to hang out with Efya. We don't know what the future holds, but I don't. For now, nothing is happening. You came along when I was
And that's all for Joy News today. Before we go, a look at our closing headlines again. The 3-day funeral rites of Komla Dumoh, BBC senior broadcast journalist and former presenter of Joy FM Super Morning Show, started Friday with a solemn requiem mass at the Holy Spirit Cathedral. And officials of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority at the Tema Port are calling for the deployment of more officers and logistics to enable them operate efficiently. In international news, United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says given the scale and geographic breadth of bloodshed, security requirements exceed capacities of the nearly 6,000 African and 2,000 French forces in the Central African Republic. My name is Stephen Anti, and that's all for the Joy News today.